Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 50 of the Hot Pass Show. That's right, the big 50. And today I'm joined in by Danny. Welcome in, Danny. How are you doing today?
Pretty good, pretty good. Working on fun stuff as always.
Excellent. And we're going to be having Tobias join us here in just a minute as well. But today's stream should be a fun one. We're going to be talking a little bit about Unity's GDC. They had like a roadmap talk and did some other things. So just want to talk about that a little bit. And so welcome in, everybody. Great to see you all. Yes, familiar faces in chat indeed. So before we get into things, I do just want to remind people of a couple cool things that I just kind of released last week. So let me pull up my screen here. So I did put up actually a big 4.5 hour long tutorial where I'm creating a simple little survivors type game. This is kind of like a little preview of it right here. I kind of did this in conjunction with a couple other things that I launched. So also a Steam game. So it's Dot Survivors over on Steam. It's available to play for free. This is, a full game that I made, of course, using dots and ECS and all that. And so with that, I also have over on the Unity Asset Store, you can purchase access to the full project files from Dot Survivors. All right. So Danny left, but then we got a replacement here.
Danny, he just fled the room as soon as I came, huh?
Yeah. Are you maybe going through a different microphone? You sound a little echoey or something.
If I mute this one, am I gone now?
No, I can still hear you. Yeah. You probably have to go down on like the settings down at the bottom. Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, webcam mic.
That'll do it.
A lot crisper now.
Oh my goodness.
way better.
Yeah. Good luck for me that somebody bought a nice microphone for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, he bought the pop filter for me. So
right. Nice.
And the stand.
Oh yeah, and the stand. That's right.
Yeah. But yeah, what's up, Tobias? How's it going?
I'm super full of food, but otherwise it would. No, it's super good with me. Yes, I'm all good. Weather is nice.
What's for dinner tonight?
Very, very uncooperative moose minced meat that I was gonna make meatballs out of. And the Swede I am. But there was too much liquid in the moose meat I had thought up, so it would just fell apart, and I had to do basically a sort of weird, just fried minced meat with some sauce and mashed potatoes.
Is it like a common thing to eat moose in Sweden?
No, but I have my whole goddamn family on my mother's sides are hunters, so they just
you get the good stuff.
Yeah, and since my girlfriend is a vegetarian for ethical reason, she's not a vegetarian around the moose meat because that's
right.
more ethical.
Animal. Yeah, exactly.
It's most of the mooses and deers are probably happier to be shot in the heart than to freeze to death. So
being attacked by a wolf or something.
Yeah, we actually do have a few wolves not too far away from here, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, it's some add egg to the meat and it will be a whole better. Dude, I am an expert on the making of this stuff. There's eggs. There's the dried bread that you then swallow up in milk and put in.
For sure.
All of that. This is very, very nice procedure I have. My grandmother taught me well. But I just didn't realize how much liquid it was in the minced meat. I think it was because I thawed it up in warm water, so zippered into the meat somehow. So, but yeah, egg. It has to be egg in it to be kept together. Otherwise, it's a false errand. Yeah.
What's going on with the eggs over in Sweden? Are you able to get them? Like half the time I go to the grocery store out in the U.S., they're like.
But that's because of this bird flu, right?
Allegedly, yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I read about that. Yeah, and bird flu and something else also. I don't remember what it was. Everybody's blaming the president, I guess, but I think it's actually the thing that some sickness going on. But we have a egg farm. I don't know, 10 minutes from here. We just go up there, and
Oh,
they
nice.
have
So
like
you get like good fresh ones and everything.
yeah, yeah, they have like an unmanned shop where you just use your phone and like swish them, as we call them in Sweden. Just give them. So about what would it be? Like $6-7 for 30 eggs.
Dang, that's a great price for
Yeah,
good fresh ones. Yeah,
yeah. And then we buy like 90 at a time and just put into the fridge. They keep up a long time.
that sounds
So-
amazing.
Yes. Yeah. All right. What's going on for you guys? Have you been? Did I just interrupt in the middle of deep
No,
thoughts?
we're just kind of getting started, just letting the people know. By the way, it's episode 50 of the Hot Path Show.
Oh, half 100.
half
Damn.
100.
Nice.
So yeah, just kind of letting the people know. And today we're doing a little GDC recap because Unity did kind of their like roadmap talk and some other things over GDC. So just wanted to chat about that a little bit. And before we got into it, I was just kind of reminding the people that I put up a game over on Steam, Survivors,
Right.
which you can see right here.
Yes.
Very fun, exciting, and all that.
Yes.
Also, over on the Unity Asset Store, I have all the project files for that Steam game available right now. You can still get it on sale for 30% off for 4 more days. So it should go through, I think, Wednesday of next week. And so, yeah, with that, I have, like, of course, all the project files and then a whole like documentation site where you can kind of get some more information about all of the kind of most important things about the project. And I go into, some of the details about the choices that I made for certain things for this particular game. So yeah, should be pretty fun. And of course, yeah, big 4.5 hour long tutorial for a small little Survivors type game over on YouTube. Have you guys played Survivors at all yet?
I have looked through. I've looked through a bunch of the code, and I've looked through a bunch of your videos.
Oh, okay,
Well,
cool.
I only just got back to my Windows machine today, so haven't been able to try it.
Yes.
I did send you a Mac build.
Did you? I didn't
Yeah.
notice. Oh,
No
I
excuses.
put it in that group that we're all in. So I'll send it to you.
okay. I'll have to play it then.
Yeah, I have no excuses. I care more about the code, but I should probably just download it on Steam and try it once, just to know what I'm playing, what I'm looking at.
Nice. Is there anything in particular that you were digging around in the code base on?
No, honestly, mostly it's like just like partly like, oh, this is a good time for me to just check out like how does it look to code in the latest version of Dots nowadays, because like I haven't worked in Dots in over a year, more or less. And also just like, like since we work together on a project, and I also looked through a bunch of other code that we've been stuff, I sort of know the different quirks that you have in your code. I'm like, and I'm just
like, oh, I recognize
still
this.
doing that. But no, it's like it's not really that similar to your old code, so I think you're evolving.
Yeah, I have
thing.
not all of my timers, but I know some of them kind of use your sort of pattern with the timestamp expiration.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I noticed one of those, but this is just like some random like patterns that if somebody showed the code and I was gonna guess like who do I know who might have written it, I would not necessarily have guessed you. So, but that's good, I think.
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
No, but I think it's a good thing, because that means that you're like finding different new things that's changing up it, and
yeah,
like,
I feel
always
the same,
involving.
So cool
Yeah.
that you noticed that.
Yeah. But otherwise, honestly, I haven't checked it out that much. I spent like some time with the video and stuff and looked through it, but it's not like in depth. So I have stuff. I should do that more when I'm getting into Dots very soon. Very soon, I'm gonna get more into Dots. So then it will be
Awesome.
back to that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, by the way, start some of the characters inspired by the people on stream. Yep, of course, we have each one of us here with all of our Discord names. So we got Turbo, Daxode, and Makarutan.
Oh yeah. Oh, you Turbo. Yeah, I was confused that you talked about me first, and then but that's
Yeah.
I'm the Mockarutan, not
Your
Turbo.
Discord handle.
Yeah,
and then so the other characters, they're each of our respective pets.
Oh, Daniels. I didn't. What's your cat's name? I guess
Zena.
Zena. Ah, right. That makes sense.
Yeah, she's actually right here.
Ah, and Felix is lying in the snow. I don't know where Felix is. He has gone somewhere. Anyway.
Yeah. And then so did you manage anything like items, clothes, and armor on the characters with ECS? So mostly what I'm doing is, so each of the different characters has like their own color scheme. And that's basically just kind of like a material swap, and each of the materials are just referencing a different sprite sheet. So I'm not like, adding any additional, like, as you upgrade, you don't get like, additional armor or anything on top of that. But it's basically just a material swap for the different main characters on there. So yeah.
Daniel, by the way, your camera is very crooked. It makes me almost like seasick.
Let's see if I can do anything.
All right. I mean, it's okay.
It
it's
was,
not better,
like good
but
for
it's
a
fine.
second, and then
Yeah,
it's fine. I didn't realize it might be tricky to do. Well,
that's still bad.
it's okay.
No,
Don't worry about it.
It's straight, but now you're like a little off center.
You should turn. That's good. That's better.
Oh wait, now it's stuck.
Okay, now it's.
No, that's crooked.
It's fine.
Well,
it's fine.
all right.
I just thought if you hadn't noticed it, I would tell you. But yeah, it's fine.
All right. Anyhow,
it's artistic, it's a artistic effect.
Exactly. So yeah, did you guys by chance check out the GDC roadmap talk that Unity put out? Did you guys get the chance to watch any of it?
I saw like 2/3 of it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's something like that. Me too. I skipped a bunch of Android and stuff, but yeah.
I also noticed that there was a part where I was just thinking like, okay, so vibe coding for Unity?
Yeah, they kind of were talking a little bit about some AI stuff for a little bit. Yeah, AI, like talking about some like asset generation workflow stuff.
Especially that part.
Chat improvements for increased productivity. So yeah, what do we have going on here? Automating of repetitive tasks, object and console attachments, advanced C# code generation.
One thing I do want to know, what does generate precompiled code mean? Because I don't think that doesn't seem like the right expressions they use.
That would be
precompiled code.
That sort of implies generate IL code or something like.
Yeah, and I don't think they're doing that.
No.
So, I think they use the wrong terms here.
Wait, yeah. What did they say about it?
Unity documentation.
Are you guys able to hear that, by the way?
Yep.
Okay.
By attaching specific contexts, such as game objects or console errors, you guarantee the AI assistant, our AI's ability to generate Unity-ready C# code that's tailored to your needs further reduces time spent debugging, letting you focus on creating.
So maybe it's just like Unity, like it just kind of has some knowledge about like valid Unity code, I guess.
Yeah,
I would guess that's valid C# code too.
But I mean, maybe something a little bit more contextual with like Unity API, like maybe preferring to use Unity API over.
Well, I think it's trained on our data, which is the difference.
Right.
So it should be able to slightly better improvements than what you find like ChatGPT or something doing.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe also like you feel a little bit better about the ethics of it, since like the source of the data might be better or something. I don't know. I don't know how that is nowadays.
I don't know how our chat is generated.
Maybe you're just like,
because I know Muse is more ethical, but I don't know about our chat.
Well, right. Isn't chat? It's still kind of like under the Muse umbrella.
I think maybe. I don't know. I'm not from that team. and I don't use the tools, so I would not know. They are a completely
What?
different department
You're
from
Are
me.
you not
you're not a
vibe
vibe coder?
coding? Oh my god.
No. Well, I do vibe while coding, but I wouldn't
I
classify myself as a vibe coder, like
c-
using
c-
curves and stuff.
I gotta just say something about this vibe coding thing because I feel so like so split because I don't know if you followed a little bit of Partly. It's like the original thing came from the Andrew Karpathy's. I don't know how to say his name.
Yeah,
The
the
dude, but
original, post.
yeah, he wrote something about it like a month ago, and then like this Levels IO, which is his tag on X,
Yeah.
like have been
Yeah.
vibe coding that. Yeah, you all see
The
that
plane,
the
Peter,
airplane,
the fly or
and
whatever.
I tried it like 2 weeks after it was released, and like I can do a better job in Unity in an afternoon, I think. So, it was just trash, I think.
Yeah, and
But
it kind of hurt how much money he also made off of that.
yes, but like, so I don't mind him doing that, and I get it's gonna get better. He's like, oh, everybody, all the game developers are mad and like, oh, you can't do it like that, and they like, it will never be good enough. And then he like refers to how fast every other AI domain has been like exploding. Like, fair enough. And then I feel so hypocritical because I look at like I've been searching for, yeah, there we go. I've been searching for like a way for me to prompt for 3D textured 3D models, because that's the thing that I cannot do myself. I'm just terrible at it. So I'm like, if I can have a few 3D models that has like semi good quality and what I need, then I can game jam by myself how much I want and do whatever game I want by myself, right? And then I look at it, I'm like, that feels a little bit odd to do that and not give that work to some friend of mine who works with 3D. Like, I could pay for that with my company now. And then I get mad at this, and I'm like, do I like AI or not? I don't know anymore. I don't know. Do you feel the same?
Yeah, I definitely feel like there is some type of split because, like, yeah, what you're saying, of course, this is a very poor performing game. I mean, it's like made with JavaScript and stuff like that. And I think like the network updates are like less than 10 times per second. So like you see the planes flying around and they're just like, tick, tick, tick,
Yeah.
tick, right? And so yeah, I mean, it is janky, but it's still like, I mean, he's been like, continually like updating this and adding like a bunch of new like random things to it just without like having any prior knowledge of game development.
I should say, from the perspective of not having any possibility before and just like prompting an AI to do that, like, seriously, that's impressive. Like, no shade, but like compared to a properly made game, it's just like, what? That yeah. And I remember that I made like several big and small airplane games in my career for all sorts of different purposes.
Yeah.
And so I know exactly how to like all the physics, or not like physics, but enough physics for it to be very, very
right.
like
you understand the basic 3D math and
yeah. And the first thing I did was, a plane goes like this, and when you want to turn, you rotate it, and then you like, pull the vertical lever, so you do like that, right?
Yeah.
That's, and when I played it, if you rotated the plane and you pulled to go up, which would be turning, it went up still.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what? How are people like even like, I don't know. So anyway, yeah, I get riled up about this, I realize.
Yeah. And I think it should be also important to point out that, yeah, this guy is of course making a lot of money on it, but he has like a, pretty large following on Twitter, and like a lot of his audience is kind of based around sort of like AI programming and things like that. So like, people are interested in it because it's like, again, kind of a cool little story that he's like made this, like fun little thing that you can just kind of like play around in that, a lot of people are playing. And so, yeah, he's like, selling some advertising off of it. So, it's definitely not like someone just out of nowhere is going to be able to make something, like this and, have those same monetary results from it.
Yeah, exactly. That's a big part of it, that he already have like his Yeah, exactly. And there's, you can see a bunch of games that's like made in the spirit of him. Like they're like, oh, I tried the thing the Levels IO did, and they tweet
Well,
about
yeah,
it.
and actually, he's putting on like a vibe coding game jam right now.
Yes,
You see this?
yes, I've seen it. It's
I think
amazing.
this is one of the
I like
vibe,
that.
vibe games.
I think that's fun. That he's like, making it a community thing. That's good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. But I presume this is Cursor AI, right? That most of these are doing, or is it Lovable, or?
Yeah, you'd be asking the wrong person for me.
Because I have a friend who I'm not going to say much about exactly, because he might want to be not known for this, but he's making a game with an AI tool that costs money for every prompt.
Okay.
And like he showed it me, like he knows that I'm a professional game developer, and he don't know anything about like the actual coding of a game. He's a designer, and like, oh, I want to do this, and then he like prompts the AI and it does wrong, and like, I just gonna run out of tokens for today, I can't fix it. And I'm like, that sounds like a great business opportunity. Just write a bad AI and then
then you
then
get
have it
rate limited by your wallet.
Yes, exactly. He's already paying like, I don't know, like the $50 a month or something for the.
Okay, that's
Yeah. So that's
pretty
that's
substantial.
compared to a programmer, it's like one hour of work, so it's like nothing. But
Yeah, that's true.
but still, it's you can scale that, and then it becomes untenable. Especially if you just can't get it right, you just like spend like 100 tokens on something, and like the AI just can't fix the problem. I don't know. That sounds like a very, very strange predicament.
Yeah. So I actually was using a little bit of AI for creating like the documentation site that for my Dot Survivors project, because it's a lot of like web dev stuff, and I'm not doing a whole lot of web dev stuff. And I think it was like really good to like get me started, just kind of like tell me the basics of like what, things that I kind of needed in place. But as soon as I like started to get like more complicated with what I was doing, because basically like the way that it works is you kind of have like a little login page and you enter in the invoice number from the asset store, and then it like verifies that with the asset store API, and then from that then you basically gain access to the documentation site. And so like it was doing, like, I don't want to get like too deep into the specifics because I could probably talk about this for a long time, but like basically it was doing something that was just like so blatantly incorrect. And then I was like explaining, I'm like, this is why this is wrong. Like, how do I do this that like doesn't give me this problem? Because it like kept like giving me like making like infinite loop calls and all these things. Like it was insane. And then it was like, yeah, I understand that, the code that I've given you makes an infinite loop. Here's how to do it correctly. And then it just gives me basically the same code again. And it's like, okay, this is not getting anywhere. I just need to like read the documentation and do that.
Just do it.
And then I just took it over from there and was able to like make it actually work. But
yeah, that sounds very similar to my friend. He's like, oh, I need it's like some JavaScript based game-ish thing, and then like, oh, I need this to be like margin like an extra 5 pixels here to make it line up properly. And then it's like basically describing exactly where in the CSS file he wants the AI to change. And I'm like, dude, why don't you just change the code? And he's like, oh, I don't know. Can I just change the code? And I'm like,
You write code? Is that?
yeah. I mean, he's doing useful work with this tool. So it's not like it's completely nonsense, but it's still, yeah, it drives me up the wall. And then he says like, oh, can't you do it? That's what you work with. Like, and then like an ad, a game, a JavaScript based game that's free to play to be an ad. Made by just purely in JavaScript and CSS and HTML, I think. And I'm just like, that sounds no, please let the AI do it. So yeah, I guess he was the laughing one in the end.
Danny,
All
you have
right.
anything to say on vibe coding before we move along?
I have no additional comments. No.
I guess you're not vibe coding, but you're using AI otherwise.
Yeah, no, I am using Copilot, especially for stuff like IL post processing, which if anyone has ever done anything IL related, it's so terribly made and documented and everything. Like even just trying to understand how their code base works as what I'm normally doing. I don't like reading documentation normally.
Yeah.
But their API is so horribly written that it's sort of just needed, and Copilot just does an excellent job of figuring out all the
What
details.
what was the thing? What was the API?
I mean, it entirely depends. Like for instance, how do you just create a function call that passes in an array, and then also construct the array.
Did you but you said something in the beginning like IL
post processing.
Oh, like CSL or something.
Cecil and Cecil rocks and all the other. We have a
right.
DLL called unity.awesome.
Okay.
Which is an extension of it. If anyone has installed entities before, they will have that DLL.
That's good to know. That's
I never knew that.
You know, there's some
I
humor
think
in
Mr.
the
Awesome
naming.
will appreciate that.
Yeah. I actually we optimized some battery write game engine a little bit with the post processing thing in Cecil, and I think I wrote like 5 lines of code in that to fix something, and the other people wrote like thousands of it. And yeah, I know what you mean. At least that little part that I looked at, there was like post processing IL code is horrendously annoying and very, very strange to try to understand what the hell is going on. It's like you think like, oh, assembly sounds hard. No, IL is hard. Like it's so confusing. And for those who doesn't know, IL stands for intermediate language. So it's like something in like I don't know even how to describe it. It's before assembly.
It's basically what both C# and F# uses in order to.
Yeah, because isn't like it like when you talk about like IL to CPP, it like kind of basically takes C#, moves it to an intermediate language, and then converts that over to C++. Is that kind of my layman's?
I mean, pretty much all our tools are IL based, just because we don't want to rewrite a C# compiler.
Fair.
Oh, right. Yeah.
So like Burst is also IL based. It takes IL and converts it into LLVM, IR, and then
right, because it's basically using C# as like a scripting language, really, right?
Yeah. Which means theoretically speaking, there's no reason that Burst wouldn't work with F#. In a weird way.
Yeah, F# is like a functional based thing that has the same syntax layout, right? Yeah.
Exactly. It's like the C# version of Haskell.
Oh. I never coded in a purely functional program. I'm scared of that.
What do you mean? Endofunctors and monoids and monads?
Monads. That's an acronym for something.
What?
No, I don't know. Maybe not. Oh no, gonad. That's a boss in Half-Life 1.
The classic functional programming sentence is a monad is just a monoid in the category of endofunctors.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah, it just
like
rolls out
like,
of the tongue.
Like literally like saying like biology words or something, like some like microbiology words, and it'd be like, oh yeah, okay.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. All right.
Well, actually, before we move on entirely from this AI topic, I want to point out a video. I don't know if you guys saw this at all. It's a Real Game Dev Reviews Game by Devon.ai. This was
I love this one.
You saw this video?
Yes, it was so hilarious.
This video was one of the funniest things that I've seen all year. It is amazing. Yes. So the premise is that this guy, the Primogen over on the right, he's a Twitch streamer, and he set up this whole thing where Twitch chat could like send like I guess like prompts or something about what they wanted to like add to this like little Doom clone game.
Through Devin, which is like a poor version of Cursor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
Devin
basically, like
sucks.
it just kind of like blindly, like, implemented the code, committed it to this code base, and then so they have this kind of like playable game like through the web browser here.
Yeah.
And then this video is Casey Martori over on the left, basically going through all this code and like reviewing what the AI could write. And yeah, this video was just absolutely hilarious about some of the things that the AI was doing, and it was just kind of like pointing out all the like issues with what the current kind of state of AI has been doing. So I would highly recommend this video.
Yes, the arms are probably one of the.
I mean there are some like laugh out loud moments that had me just like rolling on the floor in here.
Yeah.
So
Yes, indeed.
all right.
Yeah.
Anyways, back to Unity GDC here. So of course, want to they talked a lot about just kind of, I guess one of the things that they wanted to specifically point out at the beginning is that they're just kind of like working with a bunch of other partners and kind of like deploying different developers on some like major games, application projects, things like that, just to kind of show that they're kind of like really putting the engine through its paces and being able to learn from kind of some of the issues and be able to use that kind of information to improve the editor. It's something that they have been, I know, doing for a number of years now, but it seems like they just kind of want to kind of reiterate that fact that they're kind of like doing that type of thing. So I don't know if you guys had any thoughts on this. This is just one of those things that they had kind of put at the beginning of the presentation. Really wanted to make sure that they called out on there. So
Yeah, I think this is good. I was just surprised that Stalnak wasn't on this list.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I mean, so but I know like they work closely with Sunlock, but do you know if like Unity actually has any like developers like
Oh yeah, that's true. Oh yeah.
specifically working like deployed? Or
Well, Danny would probably know more about that than me.
Well,
But
yeah,
Danny probably can't
I know
say,
that exactly. I know their relationship, but I can say that we have a lot of partners that we are working very intimately with that we haven't put on this list.
Right. Yeah, I mean, like, there's probably some reason, and like I was just the concept of like tight working, but as you say, working like as a team member in some capacity, I guess. Not to like make you say anything under NDA or whatever. It's not like that is not what I know. I just know that they have been working tightly because V-Rising is just such a big game to use dots. That's it's kind of obvious that Unity would be very interested in working tightly with Stalnak. So that's so there's people working from Unity on this game on these companies then.
that was kind of my understanding of it. Is that kind of
There are some games that are made like where Unity has worked a lot on them.
Right.
Like it's not only just about engine changes, but it's also like working on the actual game.
Maybe that's a better like approach to it than like the unfortunate big game that where all the people working on it on Unity got fired like 2 years ago, or was it?
you're talking about Gagaia?
Yeah.
Because that was like a fully internally started project. It wasn't like anything that was started externally and they're like deploying resources towards it. Like that was more of something that was started internally and then developed kind of internally all.
Yeah, that's what I understand from it, and maybe this is a better approach to that problem to get more like, because dog food development, use your own stuff.
Yeah, I think it kind of makes sense to me. I know the people like to bring up Epic with Fortnite and everything like that, but I think the main
what's a Fortnite?
2 weeks.
Is it?
Yeah, a fortnight is 2 weeks. I think it's spelled like night, NIGHT though.
Yeah. Huh. I knew that like Fortnite was some sort of slang for a duration of time or something, but I thought that was like a weekend or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, anyhow, like that's kind of what people point towards is they're like, oh, like, Epic and Unreal Engine has, Fortnite, and like, that's like a big differentiator. It's like a big advantage for Unreal because they know how to use it and they can like fix all the problems with it and everything. I think from my view, the difference between Unity and Epic is that, I mean, I feel like Epic, like, they're like a games company first. They developed the Unreal Engine for the game Unreal, and they're kind of like a games first company that happens to license out their engine. Whereas Unity, kind of started that way, where they were kind of like developing an engine for some mobile stuff, but it really kind of evolved into more of like an engine first company rather than like a game studio first, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think cat is going ham. Yes, and like I think there's pros and cons with both of them. Like
I agree.
Yeah, like one of the cons with the Unreal Engine, I think, is that you inadvertently get like a bunch of features that's like very, very uniquely fitted for Fortnite that then like gets propagated through a bunch of games that's like this shouldn't be solved in this way, but it just happened to be very refined solution because it's in Fortnite. So like, oh yeah, the lighting solution with destructible environment, you should just bake it if you don't have destructible environment, but nobody's baking it because it takes long. It's much easier just lumen and like it's fine, just increase the specification for it to run, and then like who cares, it's a good solution. Like yeah, it's a good solution, but it's not as good as baking. So and baking is a secondhand citizen in Unreal, if I understand it correctly. So that's kind of sad. Then in Unity case, it's like, oh, we gotta cover like a good foundation for all the games that we see that our major users are using to make, and then you get more like a actually good grounding on under all the different genres and specialty that you need to solve, which I think is I appreciate that more actually.
Yeah, it just kind of like gives you a foundational layer, and then you can kind of build what you need on top of that. And it's like, yeah, there aren't going to be, for a lot of cases, very specific complete things, out of the box in Unity. Again, that's kind of more up to you, or, provides opportunities for people to sell things on the asset store to, create those more specific features.
Yeah.
So yeah, anyhow, just kind of wanted to point that out. Also, I thought this was kind of interesting. They're talking about kind of like the Unity 6 release cycle. And so we have the Unity 6.0 LTS, which is currently out today. And then you see kind of future releases. We have a Unity 6.1 beta, followed by Unity 6.1, followed by 3 versions of Unity 6.x.
So are we, Daniel, are we getting 6.17 one day?
6,600.
He's just zip.
I think you might be lagging a little bit, actually.
Ah.
Oh, nope. Wait.
There we go.
you're
Okay,
muted.
my
Oh, yeah.
connection just went bad for some reason. So yeah.
Yes. Now everything
No,
is unsynced.
Yeah, I think there's like a delay. You might need to exit out and come back in.
Now it's almost like it's caught up again. Who knows?
The
Who
Danish
knows?
internet infrastructure, baby.
Too bad.
Too bad.
Oh, there's 6.2 alpha also on the hub.
Hello.
Hello.
There we go. Okay, so things
So we're gonna have a 6.7.
should be working.
Damn, it's going again, huh? You're like going in slow motion.
Never mind.
Sorry.
Did your cat bite through the Ethernet cord?
Yeah. No, maybe. Hello.
Oh, I think you're back.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I
Maybe.
think there's a big delay again.
What is
We
happening?
hear you, kind of.
I don't know.
Oh,
But
no.
yeah, did you have an answer for our question or
Change the subject. Management is messing with his connection.
Actually, I have. I'll change the performance of my computer. That should hopefully help.
Oh,
Change the performance of your computer.
I have a
Yeah,
button that does that.
turbo button.
Oh yeah, because you're on that kind of laptop thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
I have a button that just like make it louder but make it performant.
Right. But do you have any juicy things? Are we gonna have a 6.17 or how long are you?
Well, I think my connection is going away again for some reason.
I guess you can't answer
Well, yeah.
that.
So I just thought it was funny that this graphic shows 6.1 and then 6.x, 6.x, 6.x. What could those be? And so actually, I don't know if you guys saw, there also was another video that Unity posted. It was a live stream between Major Nelson, Larry Erb, and the CEO of Unity, Matt Bromberg. And they just kind of were like talking, like taking questions from the YouTube and Twitch chat, because it was a little live stream. And there wasn't a whole lot of like crazy groundbreaking information in there or anything. But one interesting thing that the CEO did say is that they're kind of committed to pushing out releases at kind of like a faster cadence. And so he said that you can expect this year that 6.1 and 6.2, I can't remember, he might have even said 6.3, we're all going to be released in this calendar year. So yeah, Danny, sounds like you got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I don't think that's realistic.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting when he said that, because it was like one of those things, like it almost kind of seemed to be going back to the version scheming that they were trying to get away from when they had like the yearly versions, where it's like, you have version 2020.1, 2020.2, and so on.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of like, they seemed like they were just like committing to releasing a specific number of versions on a specific calendar year cadence. And then, if you're kind of like trying to hit that cadence, it's like, okay, how much meaningful things can you stuff into these updates, right?
I don't think they will actually try to, like, I know one thing is what he says. I think there's another statement entirely within the actual engineering part of the company. And we already follow that. And not.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's a little bit of a discrepancy between the CEOs, like, oh, let's go this way, and everybody, let's take it slow.
We know what we want to put into the different versions. It's just a question of actual timing and cadence of things.
Yeah.
Because we definitely don't want to release things when we don't like feel confident about it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Of course.
Anymore.
Looking
at you, Dots.
Well.
And then kind of through the presentation, they were kind of showcasing, some of the things that are kind of available in some of the previous Unity versions of 2021 and 2022. What's kind of available in the current 6.0 release, as well as things coming in the 6.1 update, and then, coming to a future Unity 6 version, as well as future, which they don't have any kind of timeline that they're ready to commit to. This kind of seems like it's kind of the big major updates of the engine that a lot of the kind of super interesting features are going to be in. But we can kind of get through some of the things that were kind of brought up here. So Unity web platform, again, seems like this is something that they're really trying to push forward, is just kind of having better web GPU support and support for all these instant games and stuff. Seems interesting. I'm just kind of curious about, in general, like how viable of a platform that web is for making a financially profitable game off of. Because I mean, obviously the major benefit of web and instant games and all this is that like so many people have immediate access to them. But it's like, are people going to value those games the same way that they would value a Steam game? Is there going to be some type of marketplace where they can purchase games or DLC through or what have you. So that's just kind of like my thoughts in general on kind of some of the web stuff. So Tobias, do you have any kind of do you share a similar sentiment to that, or do you have a different perspective maybe?
No, I think the same thing. I think there's just inherently a different value proposition to you, like, unless you're levels IO, I guess you can't really expect to like it's for me it's falling into the same category as very cheap mobile games. It's like dime a dozen, and you can make money on them, but there's just so many. I guess Steam has the same problem, really, honestly. But because if you have what,
it's definitely getting there.
yeah. But like if I guess for web games to be reasonable, there's got to be ad based somehow. Which for me, I never worked in my life on an ad based game, so that's just super scary to me. I'm like, how does that even work? Like, what can you expect? Like, can you even make money on that? I don't know. So I'm just good that is evolving, but I don't really care much for it because I don't think that's a viable business form for the games I want to make, at least. But I don't know. It's not like I have a ton of experience here.
Yeah, Danny, you kind of thinking similar thing?
I mean, I haven't experimented with it.
So yeah, and I know I think I did see a comment earlier asking about if there's any kind of update on support for ECS and web GPU, and I don't think we saw anything in that presentation that mentioned that specifically. Still mostly seems to be kind of a limitation of entities graphics at this point, but I don't know. You guys didn't see anything publicly stated about that, right?
No, we have not.
Yeah. All right. And so what else do we have? Platform, browser, and build support. Have you guys used any of the new build profile stuff at all recently?
No. I live in 2022 .3 land for a while.
You're still in that year, like physically.
Well, and the Need for Speed sequel lives in 6,000 land, but that's like just game jam type code. So like this is
vibe code.
Yeah, vibe code as it was before AI. Yeah.
And then so they talked about some Android stuff, better support for different screens, foldables, 16 kilobyte page size ready. If you're excited about that, then it's coming.
What does that even mean? Like, is there like is a RAM thing, or are we talking about stack allocation, or what? I'm confused.
Danny, do you have anything on that?
Well, I think it's the allocation page size from what's it called when you do mem-alloc and stuff.
Oh, you can't do
because I'm guessing
16...
I don't. It must be smaller on kind of regular.
Yeah.
Older Android.
Like
devices.
usually the way that memory works is like when you ask a platform to get you so much memory, it will allocate a whole page at a time. And so I think it's just more efficient usage of that. And actually,
it's a smaller page size than before, so you can actually. Oh, okay.
Wait, smaller page size or larger page size?
I think that is larger. So
because I don't know what the
but
kind of
you got to be
kind of standard page size would be.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Are we talking about page of RAM?
Yeah.
But you gotta be able to allocate more than 16 kilobytes of page right now.
But I think it just gives you multiple pages, right? When you go over that.
Yeah, I think that's the.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
But I've never really been that low level.
I know. I know this is talked about in the Casey Muratori's computer enhance courses at some point, but I haven't got to that.
And we do actually use this fact for some of what's it called, entities. There is a particular entities code, like I think it's the mega chunk code that is allocated in pages.
Right. Interesting.
So yeah.
And Vulkan, enable Vulkan and graphics job to recommend. Okay, yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine,
just
but,
different graphics APIs there.
yeah.
Talking about Android XR, because I know Google and Samsung have kind of partnered together and they're like working on some type of headset or something like that to create this like Android XR platform. So I think there could be some interesting things here. Again, this seems to be all kind of in the 6.1 version, just kind of mostly the support for that. Looks like there is sort of the foveated rendering based off of like where you're looking and all that. So just kind of like better, you get, better performance when you kind of have some things that are like high quality rendered, like where you're actually looking. So I think that's kind of one of the cool things about some of these different XR platforms. Talk about some stuff related to MetaQuest, better graphics and workflows, more immersive mixed reality. I thought this was kind of cool about having kind of some multiplayer stuff with shared persistent anchors, where basically, you can kind of, two people can have headsets on and you can kind of basically see the same things like anchored in a specific spot in a world. So I don't know, this kind of looks like maybe two people are playing some type of like chess looking game, and the board can kind of, be in the same space for both people. So I think that's pretty cool. Get into some stuff related to PC and console rendering performance. It's like I think they're kind of having DirectX 12 be the kind of like primary backend there, and they have some some improvements related to that. Reduced stuttering at runtime, some improvements to ray tracing performance. Anything standing out on here to you guys?
Well, graphics CPU performance is always nice.
So the thing that annoyed me about those graphs is I don't know what it's comparing. So what does it mean that it got, like, I can see that it got better. And
right, but it's like
quite a divot. But what is it actually comparing?
I mean, it says a little bit like render loop time or maximum frame
like
time.
are you talking about like
But
what
what
specifically
what specifically is it rendering?
what
For
is like
instance, like if we say that I don't know, creating 1,000,000 entities got faster, but we were never using like adding any data to it, then it's not really
right.
useful.
Like is that a realistic scenario that
but
exactly
these things are in, or they're just kind of like optimizing for the best case worst case type thing?
Yeah, exactly. Like I need to know what they're actually testing on for that to be a useful measurement.
Yeah.
But in my mind, I'm like, oh yeah, it's faster, like to some degree.
No, I mean I agree, and it probably is a lot faster. And I'm hoping that what they're trying to say here is that the thing that they're showing in the background is what they're just testing on and looking at the GPU all time.
Yeah, maybe.
And that's what I'm hoping, because then that's actually a really good measurement.
Yeah.
But,
and that comment, yeah,
must be learning from the NVIDIA marketing department
or Apple marketing.
True.
Their M1 or M2 things were like very, very strange curve bar or measure. Yeah, whatever that thing we're looking at.
All right. Xbox consoles and PC. Ooh. So yeah, what's that?
This is GDK version choice selection on.
I think this is just some more specific Xbox related stuff. Like I think it has like the save API backend. Like if you're using player prefs, then it can like automatically use X game save files as sort of like a place to store that stuff. So
God damn it! Like I'm gonna make sulfur on that, and I don't have 6.1, so I'm gonna have to do that stupid shit by myself. I already done it on Switch, which is an annoying.
Oh,
no, it's not that bad actually, but the Xbox different platform choices and stuff. It's like spectacularly confusing. It's so annoying to like, because like, oh, you can do it with the universal Windows platform, and then it will work on these platforms, but it will be legacy on that platform, so it's not recommended there. Like, but you can go with Games Core, and then it will work on that one and that one, but that won't work on that one particularly. And then like, so do we have like good preprocessor defines for all of this, so we can like, no, it's just, go with the flow, see like it's just scattered everywhere, and like, oh, can I make save file code that works on both Xbox One X and Series X and Series X S? Like, yes, but you have to make sure that you're doing this and this and this and this, because that thing doesn't work on Xbox One X and that thing doesn't work on the new Series X. So you need to like split. So I need to split them up anyway a little bit, but not necessarily. Fuck you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I just been digging through APIs half the week, and I'm really annoyed at how like it's like every new generation Microsoft is like, oh, now we got to do one unified thing that works for everything. And I'm like, what about the last one that was supposed to be unified? Like, what?
Yeah, the one to
we need
rule the
one standard.
Yeah, exactly. The one to rule them all, and then we have more
Yes.
to rule.
yeah. There's an XKHD or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
Classic.
Yeah, that's exactly their problem. And then you try to like, it took me a while to realize, because I haven't owned a console since Xbox 360. It took me a while to realize that Xbox One X is a Xbox One with just better performance.
Yeah, so there's Xbox One, Xbox One X, and then you have the Xbox Series, which is the next generation.
Yes.
So you have the Series S and the Series X.
But you can't compile to Xbox One X. You can compile to Xbox One. And that just happened to be a thing that runs faster on Xbox One X. Because it's high performance on the later Pro version. And like, so I was like, oh, how do I make it for Xbox One? And like looking at both AI and both a bunch of different tools and stuff like that, and everything was just referring to Xbox One. I was like, no, I need to wait for One X. And then I'm like, oh, wait a minute, this is the same console, just like different specs.
No, I'm compiling for the original Xbox One.
Yes. So it's super confusing. Like, and the PlayStation, on the other hand, their API is like unchanged from version to version almost. It's just the 4 swap to a 5, and like compiles. I was so surprised.
Sounds
that
nice.
It's just, yeah. So, a bunch of other stuff to deal with, but they were like, all right, let's just stick with another number, another API, but change as little things as possible. And I think that's a good choice. Yeah. All right. So that's why I was like, oh my God, this is actually about stuff I do, but I won't be able to use any of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Although, this stuff isn't coming until 6.1 or even 6.x for some of the stable key. Actually, although it looks like this maybe has been backported to 2022 LTS, Xbox on PC, Xbox consoles soon. Okay. So
Xbox on PC, that's a sentence.
Faster rendering with GPU resident drawer. So I think and they just have kind of some stuff here. New height of graphics performance, some more graphs with a little context, faster iteration and content optimization. So they're talking about some of the mesh LOD stuff. I think this is kind of like an automatic sort of like built-in LOD type thing. So you don't have to like worry about manually creating all the different LODs. So that seems definitely nice. What else we got going on here? AI Centis improvements. So Centis is kind of the I don't know, how would you guys describe this? Have you guys used any of the Centis stuff much? I know it's like kind of a way where you can sort of like import different like AI models into Unity and be able to kind of like do things with them.
I have never heard about this.
Really?
No, I never heard the word Sentis.
It's something that they've
Census is pretty cool. It's basically just like our version of like you can build your own AI solution sort of thing.
Yeah.
So it has some nice API to like train based on some data and then output cool things based on it. So
So
like
it's
for instance, here they are using it for like, oh, based on an image, I'm gonna create a diff view on
right.
it.
So it's like a scaffolding for AI models or something.
Yeah, and because I know that the big platform that people can download AI models from is that site called Hugging Face, and you can kind of like basically download those from there and kind of like import them directly into a Unity project and be able to, utilize stuff with that trained data.
Okay. I would have to look at the one like an API to like see what's actually practically what's going on. But
Yeah.
right.
Actually, so this was super interesting here. The what?
Yeah, the product auditor. Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it basically does kind of it's kind of like a regular performance analyzer, but then it also gives you like some specific recommendations of like rather than you having to go through the profiler and see like, oh, okay, this system is taking up a lot of resources. How do I dive into this? See like specifically the things are going wrong. How can I optimize them? Like this seems like it kind of gives you a better summary of that, where it says like immediately here are the top areas that are kind of drawing on performance, and it sounds like it even gives you some recommendations about some ways to kind of resolve that. Tobias, is this something that you were
I was
interested in too?
Fast. I used it on both Sulfur and another project. Just to
oh,
try
really?
it. Yeah.
I didn't
well,
even
not
know.
not used it. I just like downloaded, ran it, and like, I guess that's used it, and just like, what feedback is it giving me? And I didn't take action on any of it because there was mostly just like minor like warnings, and then it was like,
I think this is something different though.
Are you sure? Product too
Um,
small. So this is not the project audit package.
Oh, maybe it is.
This is the tool that can do like static analysis of your scripts, and you can do like a bunch of other. No, it's.
This is
the
one.
It was like released like a month ago or something.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the one. It kind of analyzes your project for like best practice type stuff, right?
Yeah, I saw it was in the chat as well.
Yeah, we talked about it in and me and I don't know, I forget his name.
Is it Walter?
Yeah, Walter, exactly. It was like impressed by how it was very, very handy to something, and then it was like completely off base on a few of the recommendations. Like, it's not like it's going like completely logical the wrong way. It's just like, that's not how Unity works. You should know that. You're a Unity tools. So don't use was something with materials, and it was like, if you follow that advice, you would completely hamstring the SRP batcher. It's like, don't do what it says then. And I was very confused how it wasn't like integrated properly with the different nuances of the thing, because like you can read up pretty easily in the documentation, like this and this and this is how you manipulate and do stuff with materials to make the SRP batcher happy, and then you get good batching and stuff like that. And then this tool is like, do this, and like, no, that will completely break all of the SRP batching. And then some other suggestion was like, oh yeah, that's a very annoying thing to have to find manually, or to write a static analysis tool that finds you for it, so that tool just provides you a list. It was like a list of all the times you did something in the code, and like I just looked at it like, oh shit, I do that. That's a bunch of stuff that I should just like remove. And I think I did that, but it's the warning type of things, not like actually gonna make a big difference. Just like,
right.
You can do this, it will make it cleaner, and like I like that. So
yeah,
overall, good tool, good thing, and a lot of projects probably install that, and then it like a whole laundry list of like, you need to just make stuff in this way, and it will work better, and that will be very, very helpful.
Yeah. I didn't even put two and two together. I couldn't remember that was the thing that you guys had kind of been using in your projects that was out already, because this seemed like it was kind of like a new thing, because there has like the 6.1 and 6.x on here. What I do think though is new is kind of the actionable insights in the profiler summary view, where it kind of tells you some of the specific things and kind of some action items along that. So I think that sounds cool. Yeah, we'll see how it all ends up working.
Yeah, that's very good. Yeah, I would like them to focus a little bit more on like very like a straightforward and fast way to do like frame to frame analysis of profiler things instead of too much. I don't think like trying to like say what you should do with the data. I'm not that interested in. I just want to be able to compare data. And I know the profiler analyzer is a thing, and I use it all the time. But the profiler analyzer is like is kind of clunky, I think, and it doesn't really like do as good of a job as it could do. So I would have hoped that they would be like more like, oh, you can just select this, and then you will get a split of like what's the differences between the frames. In a lot more like fast and clear way than it's possible right now. So, but I mean, as long as they're continuing improving the profiler, I'm happy at some point to some degree.
Awesome. All right, and then now we get into what everyone showed up for: maximizing the power of ECS for Unity. So they kind of talk a little briefly about some ECS stuff here. One of the interesting things is we saw a little bit of a new feature here. So this says polishing ECS with entities 1.4. I know that there is a kind of like experimental 1.4 version of ECS out. I haven't played around with it to see what all is in it, but I'm not sure if maybe Danny would know that if this new feature is in here, but this auto authoring, I know this is kind of like something that has kind of been floated around for a little while, because I know, back in the day we used to be able to just kind of add an attribute above a component and it would generate an authoring script for that component type.
I think we actually did release a sample showing how to do that somewhere.
Oh, okay.
I think it's in the entity component samples.
Yeah, you might be right on that, actually.
Yeah, and I think that's what this is a snippet of.
Okay, yeah. Because, this is, uses some auto-authoring namespace up here. But, it has basically, actually... So you can kind of see that, we'll see, is there not even... So there's not even a mono behavior in this setup right here. Like you just have this public class spawner authoring, which is an auto authoring type, pass in the spawner, and then you have to kind of define this on enable. It looks like there's kind of some checkbox in the inspector for that.
Yeah.
Is there more to it, or are you not allowed to say anything?
No, there's that's it. I think we released it for a long time ago, actually. So it's not.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Now that you say that, I do remember that. I think that was out there, but it's like one of those things that I didn't really use.
And it's a sample as well, because ideally we don't want people to do that.
It's like the first like two versions of ECS that had iSystem with it. It's like, this is something we're working on. It's very, very hard to work with, and then like eventually it's going to take over the whole system, and everything is going to be iSystem. Maybe this will like grow into something different, or is it just like experiment?
Well, no. This is definitely just that is it. People were complaining, and then we made a thing so that they can stop complaining.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
It's not more.
No, I'm not trying to like wrangle something. I'm just curious.
No, that's
it's one of those things where it's like, sure, it's nice to be able to quickly have like an authoring script for just like a single component, but most of the time with an authoring script, you're going to be adding multiple components and wanting to do a little bit of stuff inside the baking step. So again, it's, in my opinion, not useful for most kind of longer term cases. Again, might be nice for prototyping and stuff, but as things start to grow, I feel like it's better kind of having your own thing.
Yeah.
And they also kind of mentioned some improvements to the jobs and profiler stuff where, so this says fewer main thread stalls, also lower scheduling overhead for jobs. And I think this, where it says wait points, job dependencies, this is kind of giving you a little bit better maybe visualization inside the profiler for different job dependencies where things might be waiting, because that's not always immediately obvious when you're looking in the profiler at some of those things. So I think that's kind of nice there.
Yeah, very.
But I mean, not a whole lot as far as ECS stuff on this slide. Is there anything that you guys also wanted to kind of talk about related to this at all?
Feels like the core of ECS, and maybe Danny, you agree or not? I would be curious. The core of ECS, or like the main, like the thing that ECS is designed to solve as it is, like that's being kind of solidified. It's just like a ton of tooling to build and to make sure it integrates with everything in a good way, and like
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
feels like
I mean, there's changes that we're doing. Obviously, the consolidation of APIs include stuff like we are making entities for each obsolete, and we are obsoleting aspects. Both of them, we use the word obsolete, but it's more like, hey, we recommend you start knowing that you should stop using it. But obviously, we still have to support it for the entire duration of 1.x,
right,
and Unity 6, I think, as well. There's a public comment from my manager somewhere stating this fact.
So people probably are using those in production projects right now. So
exactly. So like 1.4 obviously released, and that's in there.
Yeah, now I'm just so rusty around ECS. So to get non-bursted scheduled code, you do how now?
To get one?
To schedule jobs that are not bursted. Wait a minute, because there's an edge case where for each thing was a lot more like easier to deal with than to write, but maybe it was just that you have to write the job structure for everything now, and that's the main annoyance.
Yeah. So like the one of the differences is obviously if you want a quick and dirty way to do .run and get that burstified, then you need to use an I system, because in an I system you can burst on update, and therefore because on update is bursted, therefore all your system API query and stuff like that would be updated as well.
Right, but so like doing a is system base also going? No, that's gotta be still.
No, system base is still there, and
it's still there.
There's still teams depending on it way too much. We can't.
Yeah, and like, how do you even do like if you have to have access to a managed object in a system? Like, how do you do that without system base?
Unity object ref.
I'm so out of the loop. Fair enough.
Unity object ref can.
Well, yeah. So the only real limitation for I systems is you can't have like managed member variables.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But even though it's like a system, and you shouldn't really have member variables on those anyways, but it's just kind of like a hack that I do sometimes just because it's like it's easy.
I don't know. I don't agree that it's a hack thing, because I understand that it should be like a singleton or whatever or something if you have that conceptual type of memory laying around. But like, just a reference to the camera or something. Like, why do you have to like be so obtuse with the? And I'm not speaking specifically to you, Danny. I'm just like that. In that case, I'm like, just get a system base going, and then some for each run, and you just deal with whatever camera thing you have to deal with, and it's nothing bursted, just a single update. It's like, you know, the hero content that's not gonna scale. Yeah. So
yeah, no, but yeah, and in those cases, it's more like maybe you should write a manager instead that is entirely game object based, and then still accept that one place that you have to store that manager inside your system to do the invoke. But
yeah, I understand there is many ways of getting around this, and maybe in practice, if you like, you sort of you would get the sort of, oh, this is a good way of dealing with this common case for managed memory that interacts with bursted or, you know, ECS data in some way, and you will eventually, because like that took me like years to figure out a very streamlined form to deal with it in the last system, in the last way of doing it. So I assume it's just like, yeah, you just got to move forward and find new shortcuts to do your code in a nice and tight way.
yes,
Yeah, fair enough. I do, however, gonna miss a lot that possibility of just like flipping between run, schedule, and schedule parallel, just to try out different, because of you know, for each loops could be just, you know, the dot thing, and you changed exactly completely. And now I assume that's, well, schedule and schedule parallel you can still do, right? You can swap.
I mean, you can do that all with iJob entity.
Because you have .run on that one too.
Yeah, iJob entity works.
You're right. You're right. All right. All right. I should just not comment on dots much unless I my memory is failing me. I
Sounds
need
like
to.
you've been dots vibe coding.
I've been not vibe coding or dots coding at all. I've been well, no, I actually been a little bit burst and job coding, but not ECS coding at all.
Nice. Danny, do you want to talk a little bit about why aspects are going to be going away, and what kind of the recommended kind of alternative approach to that would be?
Sure. I mean, the basic thing is just it comes down to it was a half-baked feature that was implemented too fast in a terrible fashion. The API, the code base was written in a way that too fast, too furious. It was written in a way that let's just say it. The person who wrote it didn't write it so that anyone else could understand it. It's very obtuse, very difficult to do any changes to that code base. It's not very performant, though we haven't been able to test it at scale either, because nobody's really using it at scale. So we don't actually know about the performance in scale. What we do know is the fact that we have a difficult time making any changes to it, and the API is just stagnated to begin with. So we don't want to keep it around, because if we want to support something like it, we ideally want to be able to build it on a fundament that is actually like nice to use first.
And like, wasn't it also like a little bit a combination of the old transform system being scattered?
Yeah, I was going to say, it seemed like the main use case for aspects was the previous transform system, where you had like separate position, rotation, and scale components. And then rather than having to query for each one of those individually, then you have this like aspect that kind of, you know, allows you to treat those all as one. But now that the transform system has been cleaned up significantly, there's not really that same use case for that.
Yep.
And also, you like the overloaded, all the generated overloaded versions, which I assume are generated, of the for each loop, which support up to nine different in parameters, right? Or ref parameters. Like, now that's not the same thing with entity job, or am I wrong?
I mean, iJob entity doesn't have a limit.
Yeah, that's my point. Like, before you had the 9 limits, because like I guess you didn't want to just shove in a million overrides over.
Both entities for each and System API Core has that limitation.
Yeah, but
because we didn't want to generate all of the options.
Yeah, exactly.
I actually hit that limit one time in Dot Survivors.
So funnily enough, the limit is totally what's it called? Like it's not an
Arbitrary.
actual limit. Yeah, it's
Arbitrary.
arbitrary because the limit doesn't exist. Also, meaning if you were to just add like inside of the system API code, actually you can even just not even do that. If you have the namespace Unity entities add to system API a particular query with the additional argument, that works.
Yeah. I can imagine. Yeah, it looked
Because
very
our source generator
generate-
obviously doesn't care. It just
Yeah.
reads n arguments.
Yeah. And now with that fascinating. I actually as soon as I accidentally like inspected the definitions in that file very long ago, and I'm like looking like a billion versions of the same thing and like all the different combinations, like holy shit, okay, this is generated. And then I realized 9 limit. I'm like, that gotta be just some dude who like 9 is enough, I guess, and then moved on. Right?
Yeah.
It was you, wasn't it?
And
Danny?
also, what we normally argue is if you are at the 9 limit, you should be using an iJob entity anyways.
Or an
At that
aspect.
That was the old argument, by the way.
It's just kidding.
There was a time
Alright.
where that was one of the arguments we used.
Yeah,
That's
I
fair.
can imagine.
Luckily, in the case that I hit it, one of my one of the things that I was querying for was an enabled ref RW. So then instead, I just removed that and then did with entity access and then use system API to set the component enabled.
Yeah.
So
Good.
Worked out. And then let's see, we talk a little bit about modernizing the future foundation of the engine. So this is all, stuff kind of in this future category. So don't expect any of this stuff anytime soon. But we do see this ECS for all, the consolidation of ECS workflows, data-oriented performance for all, ECS into the main graphics pipeline. This is kind of what they, I believe, were basically talking about at GDC last year, where kind of ECS is going to be kind of the underpinning of everything, where like every game object is now going to have like a backing entity. So a lot of really interesting things with this. Still also a lot of questions about what this actually looks like. I'm sure Danny has a lot of amazing, insightful knowledge that he cannot say a single word about right now.
There's a sniper outside my door right now.
Yeah, you see the little laser on your...
I was gonna say the mythical entity back transform. Nobody's seen it, but we know it's out there in the woods.
Yeah. Coming to a town near you.
Yes. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it a lot. Since we've gotten enough sneak peeks of random stuff through random screenshots, and I can see there's a different icon there. Something's going on. Let me have it.
They're doing something over there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, really exciting, but obviously so far out to have any definitive, anything to say on that. Sounds like the .NET Core CLR stuff is still kind of in progress. Doesn't seem like, again, this is going to be anything anytime soon. Seems like kind of in the future, kind of big major changes to the engine, where they're kind of promising a lot of better performance, faster iteration, the whole .NET ecosystem, whatever that means. And so I think, again, exciting stuff. Seems like the wheels are still turning on there, but I don't know if there's anything more that you guys have to say on that. Danny's got a nice smirk on his face.
I'm thinking. Or did you want to say something?
No, just I'm sure he has plenty of things that he wants to say, but can't.
I'm curious to see where your with the high performance based bursting C# code and everything, and if there's any time where newer .NET versions and stuff like that will not overtake Burst. I know that won't happen because of fundamental reasons. But like if there's a where like, oh well, mono behavior is significantly faster now because we upgraded to a different runtime or something, that would be kind of, I don't know. I would appreciate that, but I don't know if that's the amount of performance we could expect. But yeah, I'm curious if that's gonna be improved in any way. But I assume there's nothing you can tell us about that either.
Exactly. I mean, the thing that I can say is obviously Coursera only works on certain platforms, like Windows, Linux, etc. So it's a great thing for editors. It's just, if you're building for Android mobile, if you're building for platform, it doesn't really give you anything extra in that sense.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, that in that case, like for like, I don't know, I think all of the platforms I'm building software now is IL2 CPP by default. If I don't, maybe not Xbox. No, now that I think about it, but most of them. So it's like this is irrelevant to them completely. Yeah.
And you would,
but from like an editor perspective, it's a pro.
Yeah, it's true. The I don't know if you've gone the next step there, content pipeline.
Yeah. What do you have
on
to say
demand.
on that?
Yeah, on demand import. I'm so afraid that this will just like introduce a billion like random crashes because like something is doing weird stuff importing. I don't think it's going to be that bad, obviously, but like I'm afraid of the stability. But at the same time, I'm double the amount excited to have like, oh, I can start working on a project before I've spent 2 hours loading in the library folder. And that happens to me more often than it should be, not because Unity crashes, because like I'm flipping between different things and updating, and like, oh, there's a billion things coming in from the I need to change branches or need to change Unity versions because I need to go back in time, and like it's significant a bunch of load times loading in assets for me in Unity all the time. So that one excites me, even though I'm a little bit afraid of the stability of it because it sounds like a hard thing to make good. Yeah, I don't know. Do you agree, Johnny?
I think so. Yeah. It seems like it could be cool, but again, probably too early to tell.
Yeah.
On this, for the ECS for all, is everything a subscene now? Again, kind of speculating at this point, but my guess is going to be no, because subscenes are a very specific concept where you can bake entity data into this subscene and be able to load them in and out on the fly really easily. But entities don't have to be in a subscene. They can kind of exist outside of that. Like, when you kind of spawn an entity just kind of regularly, it doesn't necessarily get associated with a subscene. So yeah, I would say no, kind of a default, but I would assume that subscenes, because there's a lot of benefits to them, then that still would be a feature that they have. Danny's nodding along and not entirely confirming, but and they must be in a world though for all the ECS entities there. So yeah,
obviously.
All right, what else do we got here? Oh, we got a new trailer for Den of Wolves, of course, a game made with ECS, and seems like there might be some interesting dots and ECS stuff going on there. Still don't unfortunately have a lot of information about what that specifically is. And he's just continually nodding along. Yes.
It's a cool game. It's a cool game.
Danny wrote some code that's gonna be inside of it. Well, except for the ECS code you already written, but
actually, let me. No, it's not here.
Prop?
He's gonna
my Den of Wolves shirt is all the way in there. So
oh. Did you get that from Unite or something?
No, I got it from a visit.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
they're in Stockholm, right?
Office. Yeah, they're in Stockholm.
Yeah,
they're so big. They're like 100 people now.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's crazy.
Good for them. Shout out.
Yeah.
Some stuff on Adaptive Pro volumes. expanded AI capabilities.
Right.
So yeah, they get into some of the stuff. So here's a kind of an interesting little use case. They're kind of talking about some like sprite upscaling, like using some AI tools for that. I think that's a pretty
That's a good
use.
use case.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. But just quick, Danny, you needed to go at some point, right? Yeah, I have a thing
in
that
like 30 minutes.
so okay, so
All
that's good. Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Project Z, which is a, I guess, new game made with Unity as well. Yeah, here's where we kind of get into some of the AI vibe coding stuff. Chat improvements for increased productivity. AI asset generation workflow and new asset types. So here they talk about 3D generated models coming. There you go.
I'm going to be a one-man army.
Yeah, right. Definitely could be cool. The audio generation could be cool as well, just for,
I mean, if it's able to generate
effects.
that mesh, it looks cool.
Yeah, I'd say. It's
3D,
a pretty good like little Humvee.
Yeah, 3D mesh generation has come a long way. There's like some Tencent open source model that's available, Hanjong or something it's called, and I haven't been able to use it so much installing and stuff. But it's open source, and it just like spits out a pretty good version of it. So I hope this keeps evolving, and you can like do some prototyping fast with it. And
is it like all 3D models, so like hard surface as well as like skinned mesh type things? Or
good question. I think it's like not material based generation at all right now. So it's just like matte or shiny or something, like whatever you. I don't think it's
so you basically just get the mesh of it.
You get the mesh with like the albedo or something. I think I'm not sure actually.
But can it do like characters as well as like?
Yeah,
Okay.
I did character. I don't think I have it left. I did a character that was like a mid-journey generated character thing that I did like a year ago for my project that I want to make, the chicken stew thing that I call it. The fox that I had, and I put in and put out a pretty good version of the fox. And I could probably just like go in and like move a few vertices to like fix up the most egregious mistakes, and then if an other AI can skin it, then I can make it move in my game because I can skin it. So, or I just like ask one of my friends, like, "Hey, I buy you a beer. Can you skin my thing?"
It's like Simon tried it. Pretty cool, full-on character, high vertices though, but good for prototyping. Yeah, that makes sense. That it probably would not spit out something that's necessarily super optimized for games or whatever. But yeah, I'm sure that like that's probably not the challenge of doing this type of generation, is like that kind of last optimization step. Like I'm sure that's something that could be improved.
Yeah.
Like if you're already generating the models, just being able to generate them more efficiently doesn't seem, as someone who is not working on this type of problem, doesn't seem like that big of a technological leap.
No. Yeah, very true.
They did talk a little bit more about some of the UI toolkit stuff. So this is cool that they're kind of adding in some of the sort of like missing features. So we can now have world space UI. So, if you want to use this in any XR projects, we'll be able to do that in a future version of Unity 6, as well as having some custom shaders in there and vector graphics as well. So I think those are cool things to support. Tobias, have you used any UI toolkit stuff recently?
I tried to make one of my tools, just like I was thinking about selling a tool I made on the asset store, and I was like, okay, let me rewrite it so it's like easy to use. And then I'm like, this is a good time to try out the UI toolkit. Maybe it was 2 years ago or something. And I quickly discovered this is probably pretty good if you're used to like the web world of UI. And for me, like, it doesn't improve my workflow for the basic UI that I wanted to do with it. So after this, I was like, I don't know. if I make like a inventory system for a game or like a RTS or something, maybe I will, dive into it again. But for anything that I've made since then, it's like the same basically as the end GUI for me, I think. And I'm so used to the old one, and it works fine, so I just didn't swap.
Yeah. I think I guess, yeah, if you're doing some just like basic interface stuff, like, yeah, it probably is maybe a little bit more difficult to implement if you're not like from like a strong web background like that. But I definitely do like that it is a little bit more code based rather than kind of more prefab based. I think that could, potentially be, if you're like working on teams, I know like kind of having like prefab conflicts with UI stuff is like kind of something that can be annoying to work through sometimes. So, maybe this is a little more code based is kind of nice. And just also like I've seen, like, yeah, you're kind of mentioning like an inventory. I've seen kind of some examples of little inventory systems created with UI Toolkit, and they looked like super really good and professional, and like seemed like it was like it just looked really good, and it almost looked like something that you'd see in like an inventory of like a AAA game. So yeah, I thought it was cool for like those types of things.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Danny, have you done much UI Toolkit stuff recently? I know you kind of showed us a while back some basic implementations.
It's the UI I tend to use for like when I'm doing anything these days.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I use it a good amount, but obviously I'm not a UI programmer, so I don't use it that much. I don't use it for my work.
Do you feel like the more you use it, the like faster and more efficient that you've gotten with creating?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, totally. Like I'm definitely, when I'm thinking of a certain thing I want to do with UI, I can sort of naturally think in that way. I will almost immediately have an idea of how to do the layouting and everything and implementation.
Nice. Yeah,
but it's still not like if I want to do something very quick and dirty, I still pull out the like immediate GUI stuff. Just because
because I mean you can just right click, create button, boom, you have a button.
No, not you GUI. Immediate GUI.
I am like, GUI. There you go.
Like, hey, I want to draw text to the screen real quick for debugging.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna use AmGUI. There's no question asked, because like AmGUI is the quickest way that you can draw something on the screen. You literally just write, hey, I want to draw something to the screen.
Yeah.
And then it draws it. Like,
that's a very good point. I forgot about that fact a bit. I should use AmGUI.
Yeah, I hardly use that, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, it is handy.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
I mean, for instance, the Unite presentation that I did, the Connecting the Dots talk, that one was using all 3 UI systems. It was using UGUI, UI Toolkit, and AmGUI.
Yeah. By the way, have you seen this called the App UI?
No.
It's actually a Unity package. It's like supposed to be like an internal package, but it's like I think built off of UI Toolkit, but it's like a little bit different. I think that's like kind of what the like behavior tree designer thing was all based off of.
Oh, I'm concerned. For one thing, I don't know what it is. For a second thing, it sounds like a team that doesn't know what they're doing.
So here you go. This is this App UI. I only found this because actually in the Discord, people were talking about some of the UI stuff, and Turtle actually brought this up because he has kind of his own little UI solution, and he said that it's all built off of this App UI. He said he actually likes it better than just base UI Toolkit.
I mean, it looks cool just looking at it, but
yeah.
if that UI was built with App UI, so maybe it's not bad.
That it would be, yeah.
Cool.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting because it's I don't think it says it specifically here, but it's like kind of like an internal thing, so they're not like you can't like get any like support on it because it's like an internal package or whatever, but it's still publicly available, and yeah.
Interesting. I might have to try and play with that.
By the way, can I just picked out show how the 3D modeling thing did.
Oh yeah, okay.
I can just show quickly. See here my entire screen. Let's go. So, is my screen shared? No.
Nope.
What? Come on.
Well, you're figuring that out. I just want to bring up Simon says app UI is super confusing, but it's similar to the framework we've built internally in the last company. Okay, interesting.
I guess that's a good thing then.
Yeah.
If multiple people are coming up with similar solutions, it's usually a good thing.
Yeah.
Remove other media streams from the stage. Oh, right.
Oh, yeah. Because I got to do this.
Can I do that now?
Yep.
Yeah. Woo! Infinite loop. So this is the thing I generated from Midjourney, right? And
Okay.
this is the thing from whatever it's called. I don't remember. It's a Chinese name.
Oh, okay.
So you can see here, unconnected tail.
Which is like just a giant ball.
Yeah. But, you know, it's like if you would have you can see there's a path to making whatever this model is doing work pretty well, I think. And also, like, if you do this, you're like, oh, damn. It's just a mess of things. But yeah, I was like, this is if I need some custom meshes, this can probably do what I need to do it quick and dirty.
Yeah.
So,
Seems like there are a lot of vertices though.
yeah. But also I don't remember you can reduce it in Blender.
Yeah. What's the kind of current poly count on that?
How do we even read that? I don't know. I am so bad at this. Is there a thing?
If you just press tab, and then you can
Like-
see them, and then where is it?
And then you just go through and count them all?
Yes,
Obviously.
1, 2, 3, 4. Isn't there like a drop down somewhere here with like information or something? But yeah, I can, I've seen enough good model 3D to see that this is like basically 4x the amount it should be. Maybe 8.
What do you mean? You just use Nanite instead?
Yeah, this looks like a Nanite LOD 1 or something.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, doesn't Nanite work better the more vertices?
Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes, Nanite is an odd tool. All right. Yes. How do I remove? There we go. So yeah, pretty okay for me as a novice. It's useful.
Oop, wrong tab. By the way, I do see that Pedro also says App UI is a good solution using it at my current company. Very cool. Very cool.
Okay.
So
maybe I shouldn't be skeptical.
I know.
It's just I'm surprised that I haven't heard about it. It's
yeah. I was like, App UI, what the heck is this? I think it they just kind of showed it, shadow dropped it like late last year, and then like someone on the forums found it and they're like, what's this? Okay, so yeah, here is the famed animation solution, where there's and actually the cool thing about this is this looks like it's actually supposedly coming in a future version of Unity 6, so we don't have to wait till the whole next iteration of Unity where we're kind of have the ECS for all and all that, where we can finally have a native animation solution that's fully ECS compatible, and seems like it has a lot of advantages to it. So yeah, it'll be really cool to see. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that probably can be talked about in this animation stuff, but I think we've kind of talked about this a little bit in the past. But any other kind of thoughts in the moments on the animation system, you guys?
No, I'm excited. Only negative part about it is that I don't get to write anything myself. No, it's too much work to write. But sometimes, you're like,
write your own animation solution.
Yeah, some category of things you're like, oh man, I wanted to.
I mean, there's so many
reason to
cool
write
things in that thing, in motion. Or
Yeah.
whatever
Is it called Emotion?
I don't know.
It's not, but close to that. Or it might allegedly.
Allegedly.
They haven't said that.
Animation.
So moving on to physics. So yeah, this was kind of interesting. They're talking about the swappable physics backends. So we kind of have the Havoc physics, the NVIDIA PhysX. I guess they don't specifically mention DOTS physics in here. Is that still technically based off of NVIDIA PhysX or Havoc physics or?
It's interesting. So like obviously DOTS physics is actually its own bespoke thing. Like it's its own implementation. It's not actually physics. We made that physics implementation, but it's not part of swappable backend. Swappable backend is more about PhysX versus Havoc.
Okay.
Being able to swap the actual backend for like rigid bodies and stuff like that.
So this almost has nothing to do with ECS physics then.
Yeah, exactly.
Huh.
Wait, what? The ECS physics, the ones I've used in DOTS all the time. That's
not
your
physics.
own.
That's
No,
our
yeah,
own.
I know it's not, but like that's swappable with Havoc in my API. So
Yes,
are you moving
correct,
out from
correct.
that?
Yeah, no, but that is still swappable, but that's a separate swappable. so okay, those two systems are swappable from within DOTS.
Yeah.
But if you're using normal Unity, there's no way to do swappable backends.
Okay.
So in the context of normal Unity, like game object, mono behaviors, rigid bodies, colliders,
Yeah.
you can't swap out the backend and implement
But you
your
will
own.
be able to.
Exactly.
All right, I see. But we who live in pure ECS world, we will still be able to use the cool Unity. I like that one. I like
DOTS
that
physics.
The DOTS physics.
Yeah,
I like
working all
DOTS
over
physics
me.
as well,
Yeah.
especially because it's stateless and you don't see that a lot.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes, and you can just dive into the source code very easily. I love that.
Andy, do you want to briefly talk about any of the physics stuff that you've been doing lately?
Oh, sure. Actually, I can just share my screen.
I have a thing I want to ask both of you before then it disappeared. That's
yes,
why
I'm gonna speed run. Actually, now I totally.
Mine is not that important. This is more important.
Okay, that's. I need to share my whole screen. So give me one second. I think there we go. Okay, so I have to sort of start from one beginning, and then I'll come back to physics in just a second.
Spacetime DB.
So I recently learned about this cool new database sort of thing that lets you make multiplayer games called Spacetime DB. This is a great video explaining how it works. It does some comparisons against other multiplayer solutions, like Unity Netcode, for instance. So it's very interesting. Actually, they started by looking at dots and seeing, hey, we want something more custom than that. So yeah, that's why they made Spacetime DB, and it's like it's a multiplayer server that sort of helps you make basically MMO style games in a very easy to learn fashion, where you just have like the database and then you write these reducers which are written on the server. It's very fun to use, and they use it for their own MMO style game, and it's backed by some big names like Supercell, and if anybody knows who David Helgeson is, he's like one of the founders of Unity.
Right. Yeah.
So backed by some okay names there. It's really cool. But anyways, the problem with Spacetime DB is it doesn't have any like server side prediction. Obviously, because you're writing all of this server code yourself, you sort of have to write your own server side prediction. Now, this server also has to support WebAssembly, and so there's only really so many options you can do, and also they only have 2 bindings right now. They have Rust and C#. So in Rust, there's this physics engine called Rapier, and Rapier is like written in Rust and supports WebAssembly. It's sort of simple to use, and therefore it works on their server, but it also works if you make a client of it, and then you can do your manual client server prediction, right? So that's what I've been working on. So if we like look in Unity and like stop play mode, like it looks like normal physics is simulating here. Like there's a trigger zone, it like pops the thing up and down, things are colliding with stuff and things. it looks very normal. What you would also find over here is that actually it's a normal box collider and it's a normal rigid body. And if you look at the trigger zone, why is it taking time now to compile the shader? Yeah, if you look at the trigger zone, it's just doing the normal thing of using on trigger stay. Everything looks very ordinary. It doesn't look like I did anything special. However, if we go and like look at the project settings here, what we will find is if we go into physics, game object SDK, it's not actually using physics anymore. It's using none. So right now there's technically not supposed to be any physics because we ripped it out, right? So normally when you go ahead and press this setting, there's no longer any physics, no on-trigger collision happens, nothing happens.
Right.
However, what you can do instead is you can do all of the calls manually. And I am very much doing that in all the most cursed ways you could possibly imagine. First and foremost, there is a little fun DLL. So, okay, but one thing to note is also the backends, you're supposed to be able to write this in a non-hacky way that is just like you override the things that make sense to override sort of thing. That is not how it works currently. There's basically no hook-ins, which is also why it's in the category of none. Like, for one thing, I'm using a little DLL here, like a native DLL, to get all of the Rust calls. So I have, Rust code over here that does the actual, like, you call initialize, and then it sets up all the physics data that it needs. And then you can call the step function, which is somewhere. Solve function, which goes ahead and does a physics tick along with getting any collision events and sends them back. It's actually a fairly minimal file, all things considered, like how much it's actually doing. But obviously, I still need to be able to like add the rigid bodies at the colliders. So I also have hook-ins for that, which are like right here, fairly minimal still. But then I need some way to hook the two systems together. And okay, let's see if I can find it. It's right over here.
So that like add
So here
rigid
you have
body
all the
stuff,
binding calls.
like that's you basically adding them to the physics simulation.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So like what I normally will do is I have this initialization pass. This is technically run every frame.
And actually, you should probably zoom in a little bit on that code.
Yes. Oh, wrong button. I've been on a Mac for too long.
You're hitting the command button.
Okay, I can do that. Great.
There we go.
Yes. Initialization. There we go. So it's just like looping, finding all the colliders, looping over them, seeing if they don't currently have been added to the collider to handle structure. And then I make sure to like create the actual rapier collider for it. And then I do the same for, and I also have to find all the events that you might possibly have for that particular
Right. So you
collider.
need to, yeah.
So I'm finding all the like, where is it there? Get valid information for this particular component with this method name, blah, blah, blah. I find the actual method calls so that later on when I have solved my physics, I can just get the event array, loop over it and say, hey, if this event has started, I'm gonna look for that particular collider's event functions and then invoke it with the other collider. So you can like do the proper on trigger events. So like when
This
you call
is
it on,
not that cursed.
it doesn't look cursed yet until I show you the final piece of the puzzle. So obviously we saw earlier, where was it? Trigger push up. You could do .add force. I can't overwrite add force right. Can you guess what I'm doing to override this function?
Are you like do?
Well, you already told me, so
Yeah,
No,
no.
I don't. I'm like, can you like swap out what the compiler think add force is? I don't know. I have no idea.
Yeah, and we do this a ton in entities code. So
In
I
what?
have a
In what?
particular, I have a particular set of skills
Entities
that let me
code.
do this. In entities code, we do this trick a lot. We actually do this
Ah.
for every single on update you have that is code gent.
Is this a CSL thing or like IL thing?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
Oh,
So it's
cursed.
so we are actually post-processing the like Rosalind goes ahead and builds the assemblies, and then we post-process the IL code here.
Yeah.
So you will notice this process function. Then I'm looping over every single type in your code, every single instruction, every single instruction in your methods. Obviously, only if there is a body. And then I'm looking for every single call instruction you have.
Yeah.
And
I
seeing
just saw that opcode cal blah blah whatever that thing that's coming from CSL, and I got really major Vietnam flashbacks.
Yeah. And then you can see here,
continue.
okay, we're finding, hey, okay, this particular call is a call to rigid body at force. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and find the actual method for at force, the one that I want them to call instead. And then I'm gonna say, hey, import that reference, and now that's the operand you're actually calling. So
Right.
all of a sudden, if you go and read with like an IL spy or other IL inspectors, the thing that shows up in that would not be a call to .add force. It would be a call to
The ROS code.
yeah, exactly, like this code in here, add force.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. So this is like it's like a hardcore reflection without reflection.
Yeah, no, it's compile time reflection, right? That's
That's true. That's true. So it's not reflection. It's like
yeah, it's technically more performant than
cooler.
reflection. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah, because we're not actually doing the wrong thing here. We're just like
We're just doing the really wrong thing, but only once.
it's just like a replacement, basically.
yeah. So we're like swapping. Just
That's
like
pretty
swapping
cool,
the
actually. I mean, it's cursed, but it's pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it means that like it feels very natural to use because you can just use normal rigid bodies. You can just use normal colliders, and you can do add force, and you can do where's the other one?
It's like that picture of Homer Simpson when he's jacked and he got all his skin pulled back.
Where's the other one? There's like basic movement somewhere. Anyways, there's a script called basic movement that moves stuff around, and you can actually do raycasts. I have working raycasts as well, and trigger zones and all of that jazz. It just
So you have to marry whatever Rapier is doing with the API that the Unity has already. Like you can't.
So
do anything.
that's like basically anytime you use a new Unity API, you now have to like go into your post processor and like add that new case.
yes. It's
Don't
a very
you have access to Unity source code?
well, sure, yeah, I do, but like obviously I can't use that for this particular purpose because I do actually want to release this as a package that people can use for space-time DB sort of purposes.
Right.
Because the whole reason I'm doing this is so that you can have a client that runs the exact same API as the server, so that you can do proper prediction.
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I appreciate that.
Yeah. But as far as like space-time DB goes, it's really fucking amazing to try out and play with, and it feels performant.
It feels cool.
Yeah, they also have like a nice little article explaining how what sort of data-oriented approach they took, explaining like the differences between an ECS and what their model is doing, and it's very interesting.
You should link it. The articles and stuff.
I will do that. 1 second.
Yeah.
So that was a very quick run of all of that info. So that is the website. This is the video. Oh my god, my cat is in the way. And more interestingly, this is their little data-oriented design sort of explanation.
Right. Yeah.
They even have a section called ECS is a weak source relational model.
Hmm.
A weak source relational model.
Yeah, a weak source.
Weak sauce.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just throwing shade.
Yeah, exactly. They are.
Okay. I'm gonna read that after. I'm curious. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good, cool work. Rust coding and
Yeah, there
Yeah,
you go.
IL
I'm
hookup
doing
and
out of
shit.
necessity. I don't like Rust code. I don't.
It's so verbose. It's like just like
It's so verbose.
random fucking characters everywhere.
Yeah, and the amount of stuff I have to do in order to get C functionality out of it is also not great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started with,
I have to re-implement so many of the types just because they don't derive off of the
yeah.
represent C type. So
Oh yeah, that makes sense. I thought I would gonna do something in Rust after whenever I have time, but now I'm just like Odin or Jai because Rust is like seems very annoying.
yeah.
All right.
Definitely. All right, Danny, you got to get out of here.
Well, did Tobias have something? Did he want?
This is honestly not that important, but I can do a super quick thing.
Yes.
I'm working a node tool in software. The AI behaviors in software is made in a node tool, like a bold thing, but it's called Node Graph or Node Canvas, I think.
Okay.
And I'm so confused. It's scriptable object-based graphs with nodes inside, and it's like JSON-based behind. For some reason, they like implemented their own serialization, and they instantiate the scriptable objects to run the graph and have the mutable states inside of the scriptable objects. Am I going crazy? Why the hell is that? That's like I never like even thought about the fact that you can like instantiate a scriptable object for runtime mutation.
Well, of course you can. A scriptable
Yeah.
object is a Unity engine object. So
Yes, but it's like
they have an instance ID.
Yeah. Okay, don't get me wrong. I knew that you could do that. I'm just like the biggest bottleneck in traditional Unity is always instantiate. So why use it a little bit more just for fun then? It's like, you know, we get like lag spikes, like half a second lag spike on Switch when new characters are coming into the scene that needs their runtime graph instantiated to be able to run. And like, yeah, and for me, I look at this and I'm like, couldn't you just make a small like struct or class just keeping the runtime
No, I
mutation?
agree. They should be doing that. They should have a struct for runtime usage and use the scripting object. Offering usage.
Yes, it's so crazy. And then on their website, this says solid performance, and they shout about performance. And then like I'm not going to say exactly how short time, but it's a surprisingly short amount of time, and wrote a bare minimum code generator that just writes the code, and it's like 0 instantiated time, obviously, and 4 times faster execution. And I'm like,
I would imagine.
So now, it's. So you guys are also confused by why somebody would go and instantiate a scriptable object. That doesn't make much sense, right?
I mean, it's a quick way for them to do it. It's from like the point of view of like implementing it.
Yeah, and taking $90 on the asset store then for the asset, I'm like,
yeah,
my
I wouldn't use
well.
asset.
Yeah, my nice asset things are cheaper than that and have higher standards. I don't know. No, okay, it works. It works. I'm just annoyed because I have to work around the stupid decision that they made. Yeah. All right. Good. I'm not crazy.
Oh well. Yeah. Good. I have to leave now. So unless there's more.
Sounds good. No, I mean, well, I'm not to hold you up. Enjoy your little trip to wherever you're going.
Yeah. See you around,
and,
everyone.
Yeah. Have a good weekend. And we'll catch up soon.
Yeah. Catch you soon. Yeah.
Later.
Nice to see you.
Later.
Bye. I just gotta do this. Use pooling. Yes, but why at all have the thing instantiated? I don't know. I feel like because I read on their forums like, oh, we have instantiation hiccups with the graphs and stuff. Exactly the same problem I have. And then somebody like implemented pooling, and for me it's like just like another patchwork. Like pooling is not that. It's just. I think it's like basically just like a timer running and some like state of like if it's in repeating or in pause state and stuff like that. That's like there's like 3 mutable states in every graph that they're actually needing to have unique per running instance. So I'm just confused why they have like made everything annoying and like that. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Perfect example of strategy versus tactics. I'm not sure what.
Like basically, the strategy would be like it's something that works, but it's like, is it really the smart approach to take for like a real world
Right.
solution?
Right. Yeah. Anyway, rant over. Another one. I just keep getting into rants. I know.
It's good. It's
Yes.
good content.
Good. Yes. All right. Let's continue.
Yeah, I mean, we're getting pretty close to the end here, but yeah, they also just kind of mentioned some Unity physics improvements. Also, that they're going to have an entity's vehicle controller. I think this is going to be by Philip, the same guy who created the like ECS character controller.
Nice.
So yeah, having a nice vehicle specific one. I mean, it's like cool that it's like an ECS thing, but it's also like funny that it's like if you want to have like the official, you know, Unity character controller or vehicle controller, like you have to use ECS for it, right?
Yeah, but they already. What do you mean? Like they already have another one that's not ECS?
Actually, yeah, that's true. I guess the just kind of like built-in character
Isn't
controller
this just
one.
like if you want to make a car game in with Unity dots, you should probably use this one unless you want to implement it from scratch.
Yeah, but yeah, that's what it's like. They don't have like a regular Unity vehicle controller out of the box, right?
Yes, they have a wheel controller. And
have you ever tried to use the wheel controllers?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
they don't have a vehicle controller solution.
Okay. I hear you. But there's a free package that just like makes it work out of the box. Have you seen it? It's like it was created by some dude like 2015 or something.
Yeah,
like,
I think I did use it like way back.
You sort of
then.
always install that first, and just to have like the baseline. Okay, this is a setup that works. Everything else is just garbage when out of the box. Yeah, fair enough. They're like, let's not make the game object world version of vehicle controller work reasonable good at all. Let's just jump straight to ECS and make them use ECS versions. Yeah, I see it. That's a little bit odd. Yeah,
but yeah. So, anyways,
good that we get anything.
Yeah, Dot Survivors. It needs a rover, so I need to convert my game to 3D first.
Yes, I was gonna say that. That's a two. Well, I think I guess you can make a tank style movement thing going on.
Yeah,
perhaps. Yeah, that's some vehicle physics or something. Yeah.
Accelerate teamwork, build automation integrated in the editor. That's pretty cool. Do you guys use any cloud build stuff?
No, this is like, I don't know. It's annoying to me. I remember when they introduced this, I think it was like the tail end of like Batterite. They introduced this system, burst version of it. And I remember one of my colleagues who made our CI solution for Batterite. He's like, well, okay, they find another way of not solving the issue of building the game fast and just outsourcing that time to their servers and charging for it instead. So I'm like, skip the cloud build and just do better performance optimization of like, shader compilation and stuff instead.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
yeah,
in my mind the way. But I don't know. I guess most big companies needs a CI solution that just
yeah. It
continuously
makes sense
build.
for bigger companies for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I get it, and they should have it. I'm just annoyed that that at some point it felt like they were just like, let's just make the build slower, so they have to buy our cloud solution. It felt like that. It took like 2 hours to build Batterite or something. It's crazy.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of GitHub Actions, that's actually what I'm using for the Dot Survivors documentation site. And it's super cool because I can just like make any updates that I need to on my machine locally here. And then when I just push the updates to my GitHub repository, then it just automatically, basically pushes those changes live to the documentation site. So like anytime I make any of those changes, it can just be immediately right there when I push to GitHub, which is super cool.
That's nice.
Yeah.
I never used them. I've used Hooked in SVN, but never in Git. I should try it out. That could be a good thing too. That's like one of those things you should have in your back of your mind, and all of a sudden something shows up in your everyday work life, and you're like, that's a Git action. I need to make that. But since I don't know how to make it, it doesn't show up in my
It's
head.
pretty easy. You just basically need like a little YML file, and you just kind of like define the steps that it takes. And yeah, I mean, I'm not like really an expert on it or anything, but I was able to kind of find what I needed fairly easily. So,
All right. Well, cool. I should look at it one day.
yeah, for sure. What else do we got going on here? End-to-end support for live games. I know they're so they kind of have like the
matchmaking and
multiplayer
stuff.
center stuff here.
Yeah.
But yeah, they want to, obviously have a lot more tools for multiplayer games. So for like, all the live service stuff, I know they kind of already have some of the matchmaking stuff out there. This is kind of like going on some of the stuff that they currently have in Unity 6 for client hosted games, server hosted games. And then all the kind of services that they offer. Voiced and text chat through Vivox. I'm guessing this is a little trailer for some multiplayer game here. Project Center. I think, this is what?
Yeah, I expect that to be like a little bit of a funny mock-up thing. Not that they actually gonna have like a single to multiplayer and an amount of, and then it's just like everything just. They want to have like a checkbox style to make a multiplayer game? Is that what they are trying to?
I think that this is because I thought what they have already in the like is like kind of a little window that like opens up, and then you can like do like check boxes and sliders for like what you kind of like what kind of genre of game you're creating and all this, and then it gives you here's the recommended packages you should use, like should you be using netcode for game objects, should you be using netcode for entities, all that stuff.
But that's like wasn't that like, oh, we help you make the decision of how to frame this, and like does a bunch of stuff automatically for you, but like the toggle seems to be like implying that, oh, you just press this button and then it's multiplayer and it's done. I'm like, huh?
Well, actually, so I do think that there was another slide maybe after this. Where they say multiplayer games first class engine. So I'm assuming that they kind of want to make a multiplayer just like kind of much more ingrained into regular Unity. So it's not like a separate extra thing, but it's like, if you want to add multiplayer, check the box.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And somebody's talking. That is what it is. Just a checkbox for it, and then it asks what you want, and then suggest downloads and recommends packages. Yeah. But that's good. That's good. I was just like, toggle. Now it's a multiplayer game. Compile and publish to Steam, and hope they're not trying to do that.
Yeah, they say probably like in Unreal, you can start multiple clients from the normal play button.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah.
They also say deterministic lockstep for netcode stuff and kind of the future of that, and kind of the future of the engine. So glad that they're kind of building towards that.
Yeah.
And is there anything else in here? Pre-integrated with cutting edge hosting and voice. So VVox. So yeah, this is. It seems like there are things that are kind of already in there, but likely just kind of bring some improvements to all that stuff. Entire live ops coverage out of the box. We're talking about Unity's game backend, live contents, player insights. Just a bunch of live service multiplayer type stuff.
All of these are for me a little bit scary in that you're like locking into whatever you're doing. You need to keep paying Unity every month to keep doing it, and that's like, I don't know if it's like, obviously they need to make money, but to me it's like if we gotta go into South Korea and they don't have servers to do that stuff there, so now we gotta reintegrate everything, re-implement in a new ways to do live ops where Unity doesn't have coverage with their server or something like that. That's problem we ran into a bunch of times with Betterite. So that's the thing. I think they should have this available, but that's always in back of my mind, like how much are you locking yourself in, and then relying on that too much, and then you're just hitting
I will
face.
say, from as someone who hasn't I don't have a ton of experience with some of the Unity service stuff, it seems like most of it is kind of separate from regular Unity, so you kind of opt into using those features, and sure, you can use Unity's hosting, but you can also use Azure or AWS hosting, whatever. So they're kind of swappable in that sense. And I know that I think even some non-Unity games utilize Unity's service backend. I think Apex Legends maybe even uses a lot of Unity services for some of the stuff. So yeah,
I would not have guessed that. Interesting.
Oh, hey, look who it is.
Connecting from the phone. Because the big thing is out of the box because they were talking about determinism. Because you can use determinism but cannot really write game code which maintains determinism. All right, they're talking about burst compatibility and stuff. All right, where were we?
And then basically they're just talking about this kind of wrapping things up, evolving Unity 2025 and beyond. Reach the widest reach of players globally, best performance on any device, powerful workflows for engaging games, end-to-end support for live games, quality through product verification. So there you go.
Nice buzzwords. Yeah.
And is that pretty much it? Unity 6.1 beta available now.
All right.
And I think that's it.
That's all.
So, yeah, overall, I think pretty decent talk. Not any crazy bombshell announcements or anything like that, but I think overall this is just a lot of good stuff. I'm certainly excited about some things that are coming up. As we kind of wrap this up here, is there anything that was particularly sticking out to you at all?
No, I think this is there was very few things that didn't had some things already presented at Unite Barcelona last year.
Yeah,
most of the things I recognize a little bit, but in Barcelona it felt like there was a lot of we have this 6.0 coming and then 6.1, and then we got a bunch of cool features. You got to see all of this, but we have no idea when they're coming. It feels like it's a little bit more maybe this year at least. Who knows? In Barcelona it felt like everything was just on the horizon, way off, but it's half a year ago, so I guess they have come a little bit on the way of implementing those stuff.
That's right. Yeah, bright future and ahead indeed.
Yes.
yeah, I don't know. Do you have any other thoughts on any of the GDC stuff, or I don't know? Did you see any other GDC stuff by chance? I don't know if you had been following along with it at all. I hadn't really, if I'm being honest.
No, I haven't. I've been knee deep in optimization and porting. I'm actually at the point of porting software now, not just optimizing it.
Okay, all right.
So, but I have all the dev kits lying around everywhere, trying to make them all work stuff. So no, I haven't. I didn't pay much attention to GDC. The CEO of the company was over there, I think, and did a bunch of meeting and stuff. So
Oh, cool.
a little bit leaked out to us, but nothing I can talk about. That's fun. But most of it specifically for software. So, but yeah.
Sadly, I could not make it to GDC this year. It's always usually a fun event and everything, but I'm actually going to be moving in a couple weeks here. So unfortunately, it's
Again.
Yeah, again.
Where? Or
pretty close. It's just like a couple minutes away. Unfortunately, I just signed a 1-year lease, which is up basically beginning of April, and my landlord wants to sell the place, so he's like, "You got to go."
Bad luck. Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I got a new place locked down, so we just got to pack everything up and move it all over there.
All right. Well, bigger or smaller?
It's a little smaller. So I'm in a house right now, and it's going to be an apartment, but it's a good location and got a nice view, so it's cool.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. I don't know, any other random things that you wanted to talk about here before we wrapped it up?
I don't think so. No. Yeah. That thing about all the Casey moratoria with Primogen. There's more than that one. I think they made like 2 or 3 different videos together now, and I've watched them recently like twice. It's so good.
Okay.
So good content. I would just recommend. So everybody go watch Primogen when he has Casey on visit. Super fun.
Yeah.
Especially, yeah.
Well, actually, I got something on that, but real quick, thank you very much for the moving expenses here. Appreciate it. Did you see that Primogen and Casey Muratori and a couple other guys, they started like a weekly like podcast kind of thing?
Did they?
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
It's called The Stand Up.
The Stand Up. How have YouTube not recommended this? What?
I know it. 2 of them were out before I
This is
found out about it.
crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm even got a member of Primogen's YouTube channel. How did it not recommend this? That's got to be some
know,
recommendation engineer fired.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Pirate Software. Yes. Danny's the Pirate Software too. Yeah, he's fun. He's fun.
Have they done any recent things, Primogen and Pirate?
I don't think so. It was quite a while ago, I think.
Yeah.
I haven't seen much from Pirate.
Yeah, neither have I. There was like a time a little while ago when he started really popping off, and like he was just like all over my YouTube feed.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, now, but Primogen seems to have a more staying power. He just keeps on going. Yeah, I love his takes on AI. So many like, yes, I hate that too. Good. That's
yeah. He seems to be. Yeah, I would agree.
All right, I should get going, I think.
All right, sounds good to me. Well, actually, I'm going to go ahead and actually just share one little quick thing here. This is from Lucas, who made the asset store assets for the, what can I think of the name? Agents Navigation and all that type of stuff. So it seems like he's actually working on a game, which seems to be like a sort of clone of Diablo 2. Seems like a cool little dungeon
That's good.
type game. So yeah, shout out to Lucas. I'll go ahead and post his Twitter there. as well as the Steam page for this. Called Pekla.
Pekla.
Game,
Sounds Finnish.
maybe. And then yeah, it says coming soon to early access here. So yeah, I thought it was cool. I know he's done a bunch of really cool assets, so cool to see him create like a full game here with this. So yeah. All right. Well, yeah, with that, I think we can go ahead and wrap up this episode of the Hot Pass Show, episode 50. Thank you all for joining us here today. And yeah, we'll figure out when the next one will be, probably when I'm all moved into the new place and everything like that. So yeah,
Sounds good.
thanks for joining in, Tobias. And Danny, of course, I know that you're listening. So thanks again for joining in. It was great having you both on here today. So yeah. Later, everybody.
Bye.